Welcome to another edition of Button Mash here on WCRD 91.3 FM, the pulse of Ball State. Hey, Lucas, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Ready to go on break. Ready for the Thanksgiving turkey.
I know. I get to see my puppy tomorrow, and I haven't seen him since August. I'm going to hug his fat body.
Did you know that there is a DLC for Borderlands 2 that just came out that's like Thanksgiving focused and you battle a giant turkey?
Isn't there going to be Christmas-themed DLC for something, too? Oh, no, wait,
There's
that's...
Christmas-themed DLC for Saints Row 4.
Saints Row 4, that's what I was thinking of,
Right.
yeah. Good for them.
You know, Thanksgiving I feel like is always just kind of, it's just one of the under-recognized, I guess, holidays, you could say. I don't know. It just gets like Christmas just totally overshadows it.
Christmas is given way too much credit. As I've grown more and more into an actual adult, I've learned to appreciate, like, actually getting a home-cooked meal from Grandma and not having to subsist on Tony's Pizzas and Greek's Pizzeria here in Muncie. But yeah. So, okay, interesting story I want to tell you specifically on air. I think I've moved up in the world of gaming journalism and professionalism, Lucas. Guess why?
Whoa. Why?
Because the other day, while I was at the library, a random dude struck up a conversation, and apparently I had checked him out at the library before, which is my part-time job for those of you who don't know. And he's like, "Oh, hey," and I was reading Game Informer. He's like, "So you know a lot about games and stuff like that?" I was like, "Yes," and
I kind of like him.
I mean,
like to
yeah,
talk about
whatever.
him.
And he was like, "Oh, cool," and he started asking me all these questions about like what kind of writing stuff there is, like, you know, what kind of magazines and shows there are for gaming. I'm like, well, there's tons. There's like countless, you know, outlets that do stuff like this. It's what I want to do, and it's why I have a radio show. And he's like, "Oh, really cool. Hey, so," and he just kind of gave me a weird look and was like, "What would it take to like get something started up?" And I was like, "Okay, what do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, you know a lot about games, you know a lot about music," because I guess I had talked about music to him or something, and it's like, "You should totally write for me." And I'm like, "Do you have a website?" And he's like, "No, but like, you know, think about that. If you wrote for a website like that, you would basically be getting free exposure." I'm like, "Hold on. You don't get how this works, do you? You don't have a website. If you did have a website, it would be guaranteed to be like, nobody would read it because they wouldn't know they didn't know it would exist in the first place."
Yeah, like a blog. Like when you first start a blog,
yeah.
you don't have anybody.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is one of those rare examples where I now have power over you because you can't give me anything I don't already have. If you were CNN, if you were Game Trailers or Game Informer, heck yeah, I'd write something for free. But there's no way I'm going to write something like that for free for a website that will never, ever take off. And this guy, like...
Wait, so I don't get it. Like, he wanted to start a website with you? Like, what would he do?
Reap the rewards. I don't know. He's very kind. I saw him today too, and I talked to him while getting lunch, and he was bawling about like, "Oh, I'm in the wrong major and everything," and he's like a seventh year student.
Oh, geez.
And I'm like, "Wow, okay, so you've kind of messed up on what you wanted to choose twice now," or something like that. And yeah, I don't feel very comfortable writing for free for a guy who can't give me anything in return. That said, if Game Trailers or Game Informer or Escapist Magazine want my work for free, I will do it on the spot. Thank you.
So this has moved you up in the video game journalism world. How?
Because people are coming to me now. I was like, "Oh, I just exerted power over him. That's great."
Well, way to go for you. But I'm sure he's a great guy.
He's a totally nice guy. I was like, he just doesn't understand how the art world and the journalism world really work, because
Does anybody?
we're all,
We
you
try.
know, there's no such thing as an adult. There's only kids who know a little bit more about what they're doing.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Is that a quote, or did you just come up with that on the spot?
I've heard variations on that
Yeah.
before. But yeah, let's get to the news for yous. And yeah, so we're recording this on a Tuesday, and it will probably go up on our typical time, Friday at 8. We're going to also try to re-air our Gray, Carter, and Corey Rydell interview. That aired last Sunday in a free spot that WCRD had, but we're going to do it again because I bloody well want people to listen to that. And yeah, by the time this airs, the Xbox One will have been out for a whole week. And there's been a lot to talk about with it. Lucas, have you had any exposure to the Xbox at all, physical or just reading about it?
Nada. Well, I mean, yeah, of course I've read stuff up on it, but I haven't got my hands on it, unfortunately.
Okay.
I believe some friends back home actually got it. Definitely going to check that out when I go back tonight. So, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk real quick about just the list of things to consider. PS4 versus Xbox One, which is what everyone with only $500 to blow has on their mind. So I've been seeing a couple of great console rundown stuff. People are saying that it's a little harder to set up the Xbox. You still get that giant brick power cord, and the Kinect, which is bundled with it, obviously at the extra $100 price point. Excuse me. I was watching. You saw me watching that Rage Select Let's Play earlier.
Yeah.
They started that. They were playing Dead Rising 3, and they were trying to get the Kinect to work. And there were only 2 or 3 guys in the room playing, and they couldn't get it really to do anything. So I haven't heard a lot of people talking well about the Kinect so far, which sadly isn't that surprising. It doesn't seem like the Kinect is totally there.
I mean, from what I've read and stuff, the Kinect for the Xbox One is apparently many times stronger than the one for the 360. Maybe it's just been how it's implemented. Designers haven't really figured out how to use it best. I feel like a lot of them are still just kind of using its voice functionality is what's got going best for it. But and the problem with that is that's something you could do with your headset. I mean, pretty much everyone's got a microphone headset of some sort that they use to talk with people. Why can't you just use that instead of Kinect? But I'm hopeful that someone will figure out some incredible way within the next couple years, and that's probably when I'll end up buying an Xbox One. That or just Halo 5, maybe. Depends. I bought Halo 4. That was pretty awesome. Online.
Speaking of Halo, sort of an aside here. The guy who developed that full DLC sized mod for Skyrim, Falskar, he got a job, ironically enough, at Bungie.
Yeah.
and not Bethesda.
He applied to a bunch of different companies. He said that
that was his
last
portfolio,
4 years,
basically. Yeah,
the last 4 years of his life, he just spent modding. 90% of his time, he just spent modding. He put 2,000 hours into this Skyrim mod, and it got noticed by Bungie. And now he is associate designer? I think. He's an associate designer.
A nice little
working on
comfy
Destiny. Oh man! I mean, granted, it's at the end of the project. It'll be coming out here. Probably April, May.
His name will be in the credits, though, and that's all that counts for a career.
I mean, good for that kid. I mean, the kid's isn't he he's our age. He's 18 to 22, somewhere around there. But, yeah, I mean, good for him. That's incredible.
And speaking of good news, moving on, Child's Play, the charity organized by Penny Arcade, I think it's Gabe and Tycho are their screen names, Mike Krahulik, and I can never remember the other guys' names. I'm a terrible journalist. But Child's Play, their charity, has raised $20 million in 10 years now. This year alone, they raised $2.5 million, and their latest sort of installment in their series of charity events, what just finished up, called Desert Bus, by the team behind Loading Ready Run, the comedy sketch group on Escapist Magazine. Over the course of a week playing the game Desert Bus, or Penn and Teller's Smoke and Mirrors Desert Bus, they raised over $500,000. Oh, that's $500,000 clean. And all they did was, not all they did. They spent the entire year working up to it, but they, gave away prizes and auction stuff and everything that Notch, the creator of Minecraft, he bet $10,000 on a packet of silica gel that they had lying around. What? They did an auction for because they ran out of stuff, and they're like, here's this one cool thing, and we'll also sweeten the pig with this packet of silica gel. And they were joking around, and Notch was like, $10,000 right there. Whoa. And he obviously won whatever package that was, but that was incredible. And they're probably going to do, I think they do a dinner event every year, and I think that they still have that to do. But since it's 2003 inception, They've grown to include more than 90 facilities around the world. Basically, they're raising money for children's hospitals, not just money, but also providing like game consoles and stuff to keep like kids preoccupied before they have like big surgeries or they have extended stays, making the kids feel more comfortable, especially if they like video games and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, video games are a great gift for any kid, really.
Yeah, nowadays.
Yeah. Did you hear about the PlayStation 4? The guy who got he was drinking with his wife on the the Twitch kind of thing or whatever, where you can live stream like
this is
you
going to cause
playing
some
in a video
problems.
game. Yeah, and he's already gotten banned. Apparently they have a whole bunch of people doing it. But basically what this guy did, him and his wife were drinking, and then she passed out, and then he got her naked, and then she was just naked on this live stream for about 15 minutes or so, until it was shut off. And yep, so that's within 1-2 weeks of the PlayStation 4's launch. We already got stuff like this going on. But I mean, he got banned pretty quickly. So
well, there's a huge outcry now about Twitch is possibly going to kind of get booted as a service. I think possibly for both the PS4 and the Xbox One, because there's no law or rule sort of set in place for. The problem really is the Twitch app on the PS4 kind of just shows you the most recent videos that people have uploaded. Obviously you can manage it to show specific things, I would imagine, but that showed up, and that's going to show up on people's most recent feeds, and there's nothing to stop somebody from pulling a chat roulette on there and waving their junk in people's faces.
Yeah.
Yet.
Oh, we got our first Steam box come out. Did you see that?
No.
It's called, it's codenamed, where they have two versions of it. It's codenamed Gordon and Freeman. Haha.
Half-Life 3 announced. You heard it here.
Yeah. But it's from iBuyPower. It's a third-party company. It's cool. It's like this white, silvery box. And it's kind of like a sandwich, and then there's a green light going through the middle. It doesn't actually look like a sandwich. Man, that'd be amazing. I would buy that thing in a heartbeat. But yeah, it looks like that, and then it's about $500, and they claim that it can run all Steam titles at a minimum of 1080p and 60 frames per second. It's pretty impressive.
Oh.
See, the thing is that I don't know if how many people are really willing to pay $500 just to be able to play their games in a different location in their house, because that's kind of what it's meant to be. I mean,
I buy certain games on Steam, especially when they do the sales and everything like that. And my laptop, God bless its soul, is getting up in years. If I could play something my Total War Shogun 2, I love playing that, but my PC or my laptop can't really handle it that much anymore. So being able to put that on a box and I could still have a mouse and controller, because that's the best way to play something like that. That'd be great, and I'd be playing on a much, much bigger screen, which would lend itself better to bigger games like that.
Yeah. All things aside, though, I mean, the thing I'm most excited for is just the controller. I probably won't get a Steam machine. I doubt it, just because they're so expensive. And
they're no more expensive than a PS4 right now, aren't they? What are they?
I mean, the only one that they've announced is $500. Yeah.
And
we'll find out more in January during the Consumer Electronics Show, which is when Valve has said they're going to release a whole bunch more info and whatnot on it. But yeah, the controller is what I'm most excited about. That thing looks fantastic. Or it could totally suck. Who knows?
I mean, the fact that we can plug anything into it is just, that's the best way to.
Yeah.
Because most games, probably may not end up lending themselves that preferably to the controller.
Yeah. I'm hoping that the haptic pad is what it's called, which is the circle, the concave circles instead of analog sticks. I'm hoping that those are just more resistant to wear and tear than traditional joysticks are. Especially the Xbox 360 controllers, they would get that stupid drag with them, where over time, you would you would move your stick to the left, and then you would let it go, you would release it, but your aim would still keep going to the left. It would drag, and it would just get stuck in different directions, and it was agitating.
Is that a frequent problem for a lot of people?
Yeah, Yeah, it was really common. I
Yeah.
got that in just about all my controllers.
I had one controller for my PS3. Excuse me, I'm just burping everywhere today. That did the same thing. Kind of, yeah, dragged the controller. Seems like though the controllers this generation, they finally manned up and built them to be tougher. Especially the PS4 controller is a lot heftier. I think the Xbox One controller has been sort of.
It looks more bulky.
It looks more bulky. The biggest update they've been talking about recently is that the battery pack is sort of built farther into the controller, so it's not like jutting out, which makes it look a little nicer. But yeah, it's about as heavy and as typical as the previous controller, and the D-pad finally works.
Oh, well, I mean, it worked, but it just wasn't that. It wasn't that good. Whatever. It does look a lot better. I remember during E3 they were talking about the controller, and they were talking about how they would run tests on them, and they literally had machines that their sole function was just to push the buttons like 1,000,000 times on a controller just to test its like durability over time.
Yes,
It's amazing. What if that was a job though for a person instead of a robot?
we'd have a whole lot more
that'd
arthritis
be
sufferers.
so dull. You'd lose count. You'd have to. There's no way you wouldn't be able not to.
Okay. So in other news, there's been a report come out. For those of you who don't know, a final report, I should say, on the Sandy Hook shooting.
Yeah, finally, nearly a year after.
Yeah. Obviously, 20 plus people dead, mostly like little children and everything in the states.
20 children and 6 adults, including I think principal and then some teachers.
Yeah.
It was a summary report by the report you're talking about. Came out from Connecticut State's attorney, Steven Sadinsky
I'm
III.
looking at the article. Yes,
Yeah.
Sadinsky the third. They said it's not like a totally comprehensive report that contains like every piece of information, but it is the final report. So Adam Lanza, the shooter, they found plenty of games at his residence: Left 4 Dead, Metal Gear Solid, Battlefield, Call of
Gears
Duty,
of War,
whatever,
a couple Call of Duty,
and Dance Dance Revolution
Yeah, and they had footage of him too. Apparently playing it, and he played it a lot
in a local
I'm
movie
guessing.
theater. It says, yeah. But the report says there is no link to those games. He suffered from a number of psychological issues. He was diagnosed in the late 90s and into the 2000s, like a lot of speech and language stuff, as well as seizures. But in 2005, he was diagnosed with Asperger's disorder, and doctors described him as presenting with significant social impairments and extreme anxiety. He lacked empathy and had very rigid thought processes.
Yeah, I read a lot of the details. Actually, it's pretty crazy. He kept himself in his room a lot. He hardly ever made like actual face-to-face contact with his mother. It was just him and his mother who lived together. His brother and his father he kind of cut off ties with years ago. But he would just stay in his room. He would connect with her through email. That was how they would talk. And he kept trash bags over his windows, like had them boarded up. And he had a lot of guns in there, lots of ammo. That's what his mom would get. He said he hated holidays and birthdays and stuff like that. So what she did a lot of times would write him checks for a purchase of a gun. And then they would purchase the gun and the ammunition. Everything he had was bought by his mother.
Do we need to spell this out for politicians who and police who jump immediately on entertainment media? This kid had health issues.
Actually, it was more the NRA that really jumped on it and blamed
politicians,
video games.
yeah, and lobbyists and stuff like that. He had a history of mental illness. Most people, thank God, don't. And the fact that nobody recognized, he himself never recognized a problem or recognized that he had to deal with these issues in a more constructive way. That's the underlying issue here, is why do we have such access to weapons and such
limited access to
healthcare,
Yeah.
to mental illness. It's a stigma. People who are mentally ill are shuttered away like that, and that's a shame. But yeah, so let's end on a happy note. And
he was obsessed with also other shootings, mainly the Virginia Tech one, and in 2007, and the
Yep.
Columbine one in '99.
He wrote a lot of papers about like war and destruction and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, very.
Which is obviously those things are the point of it, because those games you would find in anyone else's home. A lot of those games I owned at one point. He had Gears of War. He had a couple Call of Duties. He had Left 4 Dead. These were all games that I've owned, and I haven't shot up any school. I haven't shot anyone.
Neither have I, but
I
you
don't
know,
want
if something like this continues, I might just slap a senator. All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick break here, play a little music, and we'll be back to talk about Thanksgiving. Welcome back to Button Mash on WCRD 91.3 FM, the pulse of Ball State. Hey, do us all a favor and download our new app on the iPhone and Android store and listen to our show for free.
It's so fetch. I'm sorry. I have to do that every couple months. I don't know why. It's just funny.
What is fetch?
I don't know if it's from that Mean Girls movie
Oh.
or if it was like it was thought up and then was put in the Mean Girls movie. I don't know. That's just the only like thing I actually know it from.
Okay. All right. Well,
It's just such a funny word.
guess what, guys? By the time, you know what, Lucas? This show airs on Friday. Should we actually even talk about Black Friday stuff? I'm just now realizing that.
Nah.
Nah, okay.
Yeah.
Well then, let's go right into this week's features segment. As most of you know, especially by the time this show airs, Thanksgiving will have been over and we will have realized what we are thankful for this holiday season, because we all should be
Food.
thankful. Food.
More food.
Tony's Pizza and Greek's Pizza
What type of food?
and not Sbarro Pizza, because
Ham.
that's...
Dude, that stuff will give you the runs.
Yes, I
It
know
will.
this all
I
too
mean,
well.
I've never had it, but then again, I haven't had the runs from it because I've never had it. So, you know, there's one way to
Causation,
find out. You
man.
just don't do it.
All right. But yeah, this week on Button Mash, we are talking what are we thankful for in the world of gaming and geekery. And Lucas, you came up with the idea. So
I did.
Do you want to start us off?
I am so thankful that Star Wars is coming back into the world of video games because it's been gone for so long. And it's back. It's coming back, at least. It's not back yet. I mean, okay, it was there, but like it was stumbling.
Subpar.
It was stumbling hard.
Did you ever see the Star Wars Connect game?
Unfortunately, yes.
Ooh, I mean, it's kind of funny watching Darth Vader dance, and that might be the only like fun part of that game.
Amusing thing
But there
of it.
were some awful segments on that,
Yeah.
like the speed racer stuff and the...
I
Ew.
wanted the console that came bundled with it so badly. Did you see that? The
Yeah.
R2D2 one?
Oh!
And when you would hit the button, it would make the R2D2 beep, beep, boop, bop noises
bop.
and whatnot.
That's great.
But yeah, I mean, the last, like, really good Star Wars game was The Force Unleashed, the first one. The second one I didn't play, but I heard it was good, but I also heard it was incredibly short. Like
Yeah.
4, maybe 5 hours long.
And they
just, like,
kind
had
of
no
boned the story,
replayability.
I think, a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, you think of like the last generation. I mean, because now it's now the new current generation is Xbox One and PlayStation 4. So 2 generations ago with PlayStation 2 and Xbox, there was Star Wars Battlefront, there was Star Wars Starfighter, there was Bounty Hunter, there was.
I played Battlefront.
Battlefront was so good.
2. I played Battlefront 2 at a friend's house a couple weeks back for the first time in like years.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten like how crack addictive that game was, and going around as Mace Windu and just swing,
Oh,
swing, and that was brilliant. And I'm excited because
Republic Commando.
now that
was great.
DICE has it, and yeah, Republic Commando. Hopefully they'll bring that one day. Now that DICE has it in their hands, I can't wait to see like how they sort of update the game, because admittedly the graphics haven't aged well, because it was a PS2 game.
Battlefront 2, I believe, came out in 2005.
Ugh.
So it's going on 10 years. Which is crazy to think about. Man, I feel like an old fart. But yeah, it's been quite a while. And now there will be destruction, like buildings collapsing.
And maybe we can destroy AT or AT-ATs.
AT-ATs.
Can you imagine like just shooting down an AT and like toppling it, and then it's part of like the battlefield right where it falls for the
Yeah.
rest of the match or something like that?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I can just see them coming up with some really cool game modes because of how like interplanetary stuff will work into it. I can easily see the battlefields will be so big that there will be simultaneously a battle happening on the ground, like in the city, and then one happening up in space between capital ships. And you can like fire down like artillery barrages down into the city, because they've got in Battlefield 4, they've got the commander mode. They brought that back.
Yeah.
And so there's one guy who can just has like an overview of the map, and like as teammates like complete objectives and earn points and earn rewards, those rewards turn into missiles, and you fire those missiles on your enemies, and they blow up, and then you wins the game. And yeah, but so we'll get to do that, but we'll get to do that in Star Wars. Like, just the fact that it's Star Wars makes it 10 times cooler. Like, literally, even if it was just Battlefield in like every single aspect and just had kind of Star Wars
Makeup
kind
on
of
it.
like skin
Yeah,
thrown over
yeah,
it,
that's
like a Star
perfectly-
Wars
that's
blanket just thrown
perfectly
on it,
fine.
I'd be like, I mean, it's kind of weird that you did that. You could have added some stuff, but I kind of can't complain because the sound of a blaster is so much more satisfying than
Are they finally
machine
doing
gun.
that dinosaur DLC for Battlefield?
dinosaur. What are you talking
That might be
about?
a rumor. Well, I don't want to comment on rumors.
No, I haven't
but
even heard of it. No, tell me.
It's
even if it
just
is
a rumor at this
I mean,
point.
even
I
if
think.
it is, I don't care.
Dinosaur
I wanna-
dinosaur DLC, like raptors running around and T-Rexes and stuff
Like there'll
that.
be the vehicles, like instead of
Probably.
a tank, there will be that instead of helicopters, pterodactyls. Oh,
Maybe.
that'd be so funny.
I mean, okay.
Oh.
But you know what I'm thankful for? What am I thankful for? I didn't think this through well enough. I'm thankful for the fact that having played my PlayStation 4, and I've only really done Killzone Shadowfall, and I did a little bit of Warframe, which is like a big old free to play thing.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that this console generation transitioned easily enough. Like I camped out at Best Buy, I got my console, I'm overall satisfied with the experience right now, because jumping into this new console generation, so many things could have gone wrong. Xbox and Microsoft could have like stuck to their guns and, you know, went along with the always on DRM stuff. Sony could have gone for the same $500-$600 price point that they tried last generation. They
killed them.
And yeah, both consoles like could have gone so far down the crapper this season. And I'm thankful that, you know, the executives and the developers are finally starting to like trust the user. Like, we've come so far in social media since then too, with Twitter and Facebook, you know, developing ever further, that we honestly have a bigger input now than we did 6 or 7 years ago, and it shows. It
really does. Yeah, this was definitely, it's so far so good. I mean, there definitely have been some system failures I've heard of, but
less
it seems
than 1%,
like it's less than 1%.
and
yeah.
that's so typical of like all technological,
like,
you know,
that's outside
additions
of
to the
video
marketplace.
games anyways.
Yeah, it's so high profile because it's the biggest video game consoles to come out, that, you know, everyone's like, oh, there's the blue light of death. There's the Xboxes, their disk drives are like scratching every disc you put in. It's like, well, less than 1% is actually a pretty great margin to do.
Yeah.
You think how many millions they've already sold?
They've each sold about 1 million, which is actually, it's worth noting that the PlayStation 4 only launched in North America so far, and and the Xbox One is launched in like more than a dozen, like 15 places, and they've both sold the same amount. But then again, you also have to think that there's only like so much of a supply. Like, a lot of places are sold out of the Xbox One, so they can't even keep selling them.
Well,
So-
you know, but both parties came out and said that they expect there to not be like shortages this
Yeah.
Christmas season, which, as a kid who got his PlayStation 3 by the, you know, an incredibly lucky margin for Christmas time, the year it came out, that makes me happy, is that more people get to play this without it becoming a Black Friday style massacre, and, you know, and dealing with all that crap.
Yeah, crap sucks.
So I'm also thankful for like getting away from the game industry, but still within it. I'm grateful for Let's Plays and how prevalent they've become. YouTube. When did YouTube come around? Like 2000.
I mean, it's been around for
Three?
a long time, but,
I don't
but
even
it didn't
know.
get big until a couple years after, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and I'm super thankful for like even the ones that I hate, like PewDiePie and a bunch of other guys like that. The fact that game developers can get free press for these games that like they wouldn't have gotten anywhere else years ago. Like, how popular would Slender Man have been if there weren't like thousands of videos of people legitimately freaking out about it and making you want to play the game and experience those same thrills? And also, I want to draw attention to my favorite Let's Play company right now. Not really company, they're more of a gaggle of fools. RageSelect.com. That's RageSelect.com. This is Jeff and Jason are their names, and they were previously on Spill.com, which is like a movie review website.
Yeah.
And they were doing a feature called The Loading Bar, where them and a couple other guys, did what we do. We talk about video games, we play video games, and they always did these Let's Plays twice a week, whatever like most current game was out, and they are the most funny duo I have ever listened to. These guys, if they had a comedy show, like if they were like good enough to do stand-up comedy, I would go and watch it. They are that good, and they were actually kicked off of Spill because the company that owned that website like had to cut back and what's the word for it? Layoffs. Yeah, layoffs and stuff like that. So they were out of a job for a little while. But Jeff and Jason, the two main guys behind that series, they got enough money together and they started this website, and they've been diligently putting out episode at least every day of the week. Twice a week they have their typical like Let's Play, and it's whatever most current game is out. They have sequential Saturdays, which is they choose a game and they play all the way through it. They did Red Dead Undead Nightmare, and then they're currently going through Batman Arkham Asylum, and it's really funny stuff. They also have Sparkle Fandango, which is 3 of their like girlfriends. Kayla is one of their names, and it's more of like a feminine view on stuff like that. They're still very funny and crass and everything like that, but it's kind of a nice break from like the dude jokes of something
it's
like
new
that.
Perspective.
Yeah.
We're not.
And they do reviews too of every major game that comes out, and they also have written news stories written by looks like a smaller team of guys who maintain stuff like that. But yeah,
I am thankful for Kickstarter. That's really taken off in the last 2 years or so. I mean, it's incredible. For those of you who don't know, Kickstarter is a crowdfunding site, and so basically people will post. And this isn't just for video games. This is for literally anything. You post your idea, what you've made so far, and whatnot, and it's a way for you to get funding from just people on the internet. I've funded things before. There's a film coming out called GTFO, which is about women in the gaming industry and their views on it, and just kind of going in depth and behind the scenes.
Didn't you tell me
stuff.
about that earlier?
I believe I probably did at some point.
Is it still not out yet?
No,
Okay.
I got the 9th update like a couple days ago. I don't remember when it's slated to come out, but they've been filming for.
It hit its mark and everything?
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh yeah, I got funded. But,
awesome.
But it's cool because a lot of times they'll have like tiers, and so they'll be like, if you donate $10 to our project, you get this. If you pledge $20, you get this. You pledge $50, you get this. You pledge $100, you get this. And so like I pledged, I think like $15 or something to it. And now when the film comes out, I get a digital copy of it, which is just about as much as it would have cost me in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I helped make it happen. And it's just this really cool, like, kind of empowerment sort of thing. It's rather than going to like CEOs and like a couple suits who can fund you the money, you go to the consumers themselves and they fund you.
Yeah, it's another advent of how much communication has become prevalent in today's industry. No longer are we having to bend to the wills of corporate executives, which is what happened with the PS3 being a $600 price point. Like, you will buy this console for $600 for the next 3 years, something like that. Instead, we can say yes or no to these ideas that actually attract us as consumers and have that endearing aspect of I helped make this happen, which doesn't sound cool like on paper, but when it comes out and you're like, wow, I have this tangible product in my hands or on my laptop. The fact that someone who just had the dream and asked of the people, like, here's my proof that I'm as good as I say I am.
Yeah.
Can we make this happen? It doesn't always work.
One bad thing though about it is people can get a sense of entitlement to it, as though like they kind of own it. They should have a lot of say in the creative process, and if the product doesn't turn out the way they want it, I feel like they can get more frustrated than a consumer would get.
Well, that's the risk you take with something like that. You don't buy a ticket to a football game demanding that your team wins. You very much hope that they do, and you do everything you can to cheer them on, but you accept the reality that sometimes the outcome isn't 100% what you want.
Yeah. And gamers can get really, really bad about that kind of stuff. Remember Mass Effect 3?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness!
But
Although
that
there was kind
wasn't-
of some funny things out of it. Some people actually sent some
Cupcakes.
to BioWare. They sent
Red, blue,
about
and
300. They sent about 300 cupcakes, I believe it was, and it was 100 of 3 different colors. They were red, blue, and green.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know,
And they were all
Mass
vanilla.
Effect 3 was supposed to have like all these drastically different endings depending on all of the drastically different decisions you could make over the course of 3 games, which could total up to like 100 hours like in all. And I mean, like the way my game ended could have been completely different from the way you ended yours. Like half of the people in my ending could have been dead in yours, which would make it totally different. But the endings were basically all the same cutscene, just one was green, one was blue, and one was red.
Going back to Kickstarter though, there's one game that I've kept my eye on, and I want to look it up right now. I should have while you were talking, but it's a Kickstarter game, and the main focus is on like sound, and I don't know if it's entirely funded yet. I actually think that it is, but you as a character like have to make your way through a world that you can't see, and you have to rely on sound to make your way through. Like you hear the vibrations, and the vibrations like color the world briefly, and let you know the exact shape of the path that you have to take. But the scary thing is you also have to rely on sound to avoid giant monsters. Let me find it. I can't even find it, but it's a very very sort of ingenious idea, a very new sort of idea, and that's another great benefit of Kickstarter now, is that we get to see these ideas rather than committee approved Call of Duty clones.
Yeah. And it's cool to see, I feel like you get to see it grow more. You get kind of a behind the scenes look. They send, like with the thing I funded, the GTFO film, they send me updates. They'll send me emails and like tell me, oh, we're going to Penny Arcade Expo and we're talking to so-and-so. And then like after it's over, they're like, hey, we got some great footage from this person and whatnot. And here's kind of where we are in the stage of development and everything. But yeah. Anything else from you?
You know what?
As far as thankfulness?
I'm thankful that let's do a lightning round. I'm thankful that Uncharted 4 is coming out, even though I really, really, really hope it isn't as lackluster as 3. I need it to be a spiritual successor to 2, which is, the best of the series. Lightning round.
That wasn't really a lightning round. You named like one thing.
Well, I mean, we can go back and forth. That's how lightning.
Okay. I am thankful that I built my PC and didn't really have any problems because it cost a lot of money and I was afraid that like something would short out and then suddenly like a $300 part would just be like defunct, and that would have been terrible because I literally spent all the money I had on that thing. Yeah.
I am thankful that XCOM Enemy Unknown has come back as a series very strongly. They just released Enemy Within, a $30 sort of DLC pack, and man, isn't crazy. You can modify your troops to become like cyborg warriors, like giant mech warriors and everything like that, with railguns and rocket-powered fists. And it's one of the most fun not real-time strategy games, but like turn-based strategy games that has probably come out in the last 10 years. Really worth a buy if you haven't played it yet. Lucas.
I am thankful that I might possibly be getting a PS4 soon, which I guess really isn't something to be thankful for, but I'm optimistically thankful, hopeful, kind of, sort of. I'm not really making any sense here, but I'm out of things to be thankful for, at least video game wise. Lots of things to be thankful for outside of video games, but thinking of that, all I can really think of is just like games coming up soon. I'm thankful that Titanfall is coming. I'm thankful that Respawn has finally showed what they've been working on forever, and that it actually looks really, really awesome. You know what? If Titanfall had been an Xbox One exclusive and had been at launch, I would be trying to get my hands on Xbox One right now, probably.
Oh yeah, a
'Cause
lot more people would.
Yeah, like Rise was actually a game that I was thinking about, and I was like, look, if this game is as good as I want it to be, I could see myself buying an Xbox One at launch instead of a PS4 just to get that. But as I read more previews over the months leading up to launch, it didn't look like it. It has like a 62 on Metacritic right now.
And finally, I am thankful that we have this show, Lucas. Do you hear the thumping of my heart right now? Yeah, I'm very thankful that we get to talk about video games to you beautiful people. I can't see you, but I assume you're beautiful because why else would you be listening to this show? And yeah, So Lucas, tell them where they can find us.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. YouTube is where you can go to find all of our shows if you miss out on Friday or if we have to readjust and come out on Saturday or Sunday, whenever we air our show. You can always find our recordings on YouTube. And you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. And the name for all 3 of our accounts is Button Mash BSU. Be sure to follow us and like us and subscribe and check out all our stuff. We regularly post content, whether it's funny, cool pictures or just articles that we write ourselves, whatever it is. We share articles from other websites as well. So be sure to go to us for all your gaming news.
And make sure to tell us whatever you feel on our content. We like hearing from you guys. Questions, we will answer them if you ask them of us. Yeah. So this has been Button Mash on WCRD 91.3 FM, the Pulse of Ball State. Download that free app and listen to us every Friday at 8. Lucas, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy
and to
Thanksgiving.
all you people. Merry
Christmas.
Oh, wait.
Well, by the time this airs, yes, it will be.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
It is out of sight and none shall see. Oh, there's a light. Oh, 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 there's a light.